57 times for the S&P 500 reaching all-time highs, 57 times. And no, I'm not going to be tired of saying that. Just like Charlie Bilello is not tired, keep posting it time after time, 57 times for the S&P 500, whether you're invested through the ETF called SPY, VOO, or any other vehicle, 57 times for all-time high in 2024 for the S&P 500. So hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Micha, and on this channel we talk about stocks, we talk about weekly summary, and we try to understand, to put some logic into everything that's happening in the market. If you're enjoying this channel, it would be amazing if you can subscribe to the channel and of course turn notifications on, thumbs up if you like, all the regular things that people do on YouTube. Let's go back to Charlie Bilello, 57 times for the S&P 500. If you've invested, whether it's your 401k, your IRA, anything that is related to the S&P 500, you are up 27 to 28% depending on the dividends that you got over the course of 2024, which adds to the around 25% of 2023. That's how we generate our wealth. Let's dive into this week. The NASDAQ went up 3.3%, the S&P 500 up 0.8%. Dow ended on the red side, and of course the Russell ended as well, minus 1.2%. You can see here that we have a breadth problem, that NASDAQ is running hot while the RSP, or S&P running hot while the RSP, which is the equal weighted, on a negative side, meaning that very small amount of companies are moving the market up. And of course, we'll see them in a second when we look at the Magnificent Seven. Look at the different indices themselves. You can see the XLY running 4.7% to the upside, mainly due to Tesla with a great week and Amazon. XLK, which is the technology and communication. And again, you can see here all the rest of the indices on the red side. Our breadth is narrowing. This usually is a red flag or a red sign that we need to be less euphoric about what is going on in the market. Crypto market, Bitcoin up 4.2% on the week, and Ethereum up 10%. And of course, Bitcoin on the week crashed the 100,000, didn't crash, but actually surpassed the 100,000 for the first time ever. Then cooled back a bit. Now when I'm recording this video, we're at 99,745, but we've been through 100,000 at least twice. And of course, everyone that held Bitcoin through the ride was very happy. When we look at the commodities, only gold was up for the week, natural gas down 8% on the week, and Magnificent Seven. Another great week for Tesla. Not the likelihood, but I would say the relationship between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is paying a lot of dividends. Not dividend in a dividend way, but paying a lot of dividends to the Tesla investors. Tesla up another 12% on the week, Amazon up 9.2% on the week, and Meta up 8.8% on the week. That brings us directly to the news of the week, and we'll start with Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, we got the new additions to the S&P 500. APO, Apollo Global, and Workday will be added to the S&P 500 in the next 2 weeks, while Qorvo and Amentum are going to be deleted from the S&P 500. They will, of course, keep their place in the stock market, but they will not be part of the S&P 500 in that elite group. Again, good stocks in, bad stocks out. Whether you like good or bad, that's the best definition of that. And what does that mean? Well, there was two companies that actually expected to be included. One of them was Robinhood, wasn't included. And the second one was AppLovin. AppLovin, after an amazing run toward the expectation that it's going to be included in the S&P 500, saw a decline of 7% after this news was released, and I assume that Monday is not going to be a good day for AppLovin. Ticker is APP. Anduril and Palantir are going to accelerate the AI capabilities of the national security, and Palantir is going to be very, very much in the trenches with the Trump administration to provide very advanced AI to the military and to the national service. Mark Zuckerberg updates on big AI updates of the year. Meta AI now has around 600 million monthly active user, at least according to Zuckerberg. They're releasing Llama 3.3 and they're building a 2 gigawatt data center. We're going to talk about that in a second when we talk about nuclear. Silicon Valley is in the White House. As you can see, more and more and more tech investors from the Silicon Valley are being part of the Trump administration. And the latest one is David Sachs, part of the PayPal mafia, is going to join as the AI and crypto czar. And he's going to be in charge of making sure that America is leading on AI and crypto, which is good if you're invested in the stock market and if you're invested in AI companies, whether they're the Magnificent Seven or others. No doubt it's going to be amazing. Let's continue with Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, the Ozempic and the Zepbound are being tested one against the other. And Eli Lilly's has won as being the one that reduced weight better than the other. What does it mean? Actually, it doesn't mean anything except bragging rights. And bragging rights is also something you should admire. Eli Lilly ticker LLY, Novo Nordisk ticker NVO, both of them very strong with weight loss drugs and medicine or whatever it's called. November non-farm payroll came stronger than expected, 227 versus the 220 that were expected. That's 36K more than prior months. But you can see that we are starting to go down on the rate of growth, which means that the market, the labor market is slowing down. It's still strong, it's still growing, but it's slowing down. The pace is going down. And you can see on the flip side of that is you can see that we are accelerating. We're growing the unemployment, and of course the average hourly is also going up. ETF flows have officially hit the $1 trillion mark. What this means is that investors like us, the retail investors, have started to understand the value and the power of active and passive ETFs. It's an easy vehicle. It's a safe vehicle where we can park our money, and it can, if we're parking it in the right place, get very good service. Whether it's the S&P ETF, whether it's the NASDAQ ETF, whether it's anything else like that. Let's continue with Intel firing their CEO, Pat Gelsinger, but their stock went down during the week. And the reason for that is because the last three CEOs were not able to turn around the Intel ship. And all the last three CEOs were nominated by the same board of directors. And if the same board of directors is not going to be replaced, they're going to probably nominate the fourth one that no one really believes that will be able to change because it's the same board of directors with their same focus. So Pat Gelsinger is out. Let's see who's going to be next. Shopify with a very strong update on Cyber Monday and Black Friday. They saw an additional sales coming through. Shopify going up 24% year over year. Adobe Analytics showed the same thing, growing 7.3%. Everyone was buying this year. Google actually hurt Uber and Lyft this week while expanding their self-driving into Miami. The whole world of self-driving, the whole world of taxis, the whole world of let's call it the whole mobility world is going to change in the next 2 to 3 years in a dramatic way. Once Tesla enters that, hopefully this year, if not next year, this year meaning 2025, if not next year. And then we're going to see a lot of autonomous cars driving. And then we will see how Lyft and Uber are going to deal with that as well. GDP comes in strong, 3.3%, another gain, very strong market in the US. Actually, currently, it's the most, it's the best market to invest in. Roaring Kitty, as you all know from the GameStop phenomena, meme stock, posted this picture that I don't know what it means, but it does mean that GameStop is reporting this week, and maybe he knows something that others don't. What I do know is once he posts something, he gets millions of views on Twitter, and GME stock goes up. Doesn't mean anything more than that. Taiwan Semi is in talks with NVIDIA to open an AI chip production in Arizona. Chipotle is raising their prices in 20% of their stores. Of course, the ticker is CMG, and this is the first step of their new CEO. Google is using AI to predict weather. Robinhood is expanding to Asia. Robinhood, one of the companies that were disappointed Friday for not being included in the S&P 500. GM is expecting to get $5 billion of impact for their China restructuring and plant closures. And I believe that right now GM is mainly trying to survive, and they're not thinking strategic, which means that they're probably going to not survive. That's how I see things. McDonald's with an amazing recovery of their E. coli outbreak. If you remember, a few weeks ago, they had an E. coli outbreak through the onions in the burgers. But the FDA announced that that's it. It's complete. Everything is good. An amazing recovery for McDonald's. Meta, we talked about it earlier. I mentioned it earlier. They're seeking 4 gigawatt of new nuclear energy to run their data centers and their electric grid and more and more. Judge McCormick from Delaware denied the pay package of Elon Musk from 2018. And now Tesla is going to appeal to the higher court in Delaware. And hopefully this saga will end eventually. Coinbase is now using Apple Pay to buy crypto. Basically, you're using Apple Pay to move your money to Coinbase and then getting that way. And last but not least, MicroStrategy with their Bitcoin project keeps working this week as well while they're buying more and more Bitcoins. And with this calculation, it shows that MicroStrategy is very close to owning 2% of all the Bitcoins that will ever be available. Are they doing the right thing or not? Will you put your business money into Bitcoin or not? It's a very, very difficult question. That brings us directly to next week. And next week we have several things. Most of them are investor days and earnings. We're going to see the earnings in a second in our table, but I do want to focus you on Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get the CPI. I believe there's going to be a disappointment around the CPI, and the CPI is going to come hotter than expected. Then fears of inflation is coming back, and all those discussions will come up again. And remember, you'll see the S&P in a second, and everything will be combined together. You can see here the companies that are reporting earnings this week. We get Run the Runway on Monday, C3 AI, Oracle, MongoDB, and Toll Brothers Monday after the bell. Tuesday before the bell, AutoZone and Ollie's. After the bell, GameStop. We talked about the phenomena. Wednesday before the bell, Macy's. After the bell, Adobe. And Thursday before the bell, Lovesac. After the bell, Broadcom and Costco. On Friday, we're going to get Polestar. And that directly brings us to the S&P 500, which is currently represented by a line chart this time, not the Japanese candlestick. As you can see right now, I've drawn 2 yellow lines from the previous highs of the S&P 500. They seem like they're not connected to anything because they were connected directly to the Japanese candlesticks, and that's why they seem like not connected, but believe me, it's going to work the same way. If you look at the first yellow line, you can see that we are right now bumping against the top part of this line. Usually when you bump against the top line of this chart, and we're going to talk about the higher line in a second, usually you get a correction. This is the 50-day moving average running in green. Will we touch the 50-day moving average just like we did in the 4th of November, just like we did in September 10th, just like we did August 14th, just like we did July 23rd, and onward and onward and onward? Probably yes, because there's always a reversion to the mean. When will it happen? Will it happen this week or next week? You say it every week that we're going to have a correction. That's correct. I'm not saying that we're going to have. I'm preparing myself to the event of might happen correction. Why did I return the candlesticks? You'll see in a second. The other yellow line shows the probability that maybe we should connect these higher highs, and then we might go all the way up to 6,200 without any problem, because maybe this line doesn't really exist. Maybe this is the theoretical line that we should get to. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? Also, yes, it's probable. It doesn't mean that we can't do it. What I do think is that if we don't get a correction sooner rather than later, we might get to 6,200. And the reason for that is because when we go into December and we get closer to the end of the year, professional money market, professional investors will have to own more stock than they own today. And that's why there will be pressure of buying. I believe everyone is waiting for a correction. We shall see. Why did I turn back the candlesticks? Because we want to look at the gaps. And here we have a gap up until the 60.51. And then, of course, we have a bigger gap here, which I don't see we're going to meet this week, but you never know. Again, expect a correction to around 60.34, maybe even 6,000. I think that if we go under 6,000, a lot of pressure and selling will happen, and then we might get a bit lower to 5,900. But again, this is a buy the dip market currently. Currently, there's no warning sign that something's going to happen. And I'll just end with, if you've heard the term of black swan, saying, if no one's expecting, there might be a black swan. There might be a black swan. No one knows. Black swan is something that you didn't expect. But with all the AI and all the scenarios and everything that everyone is expecting all the time, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the big investment firms. If they haven't mapped all the potential of everything that's going to happen, they should close their shop, really. I don't think in 2024, while we enter 2025, there might be a scenario that someone didn't expect. Now, that doesn't mean that the market won't go down when something surprises the market. But the black swan that will crash the market by 20%, first of all, you can't because there are circuit breakers, but never mind. I don't see it happening. Not because I don't think it might happen. It's because I think that all scenarios are currently programmed in computers, and computers are running AI simulations in order to make sure that there aren't any new scenarios. Might? Of course it might. I wouldn't bet on it. I would bet on a correction, a small correction, buy the dip moment, and run into the early 2025. Thank you very much for watching. Smash that like button, and I will meet you next week. Same time, same place. See you later. Bye-bye.